To our top story, the flotilla violence from Monday and the international reaction to it. Hundreds of pro-Palestinian activists remain in an Israeli detention center, and many are expected to be released very soon. But those suspected of carrying out violence against Israeli forces will face charges. Well, from the detainment of activists to the initial raid on the flotilla, how has Israel handled this dispute? A former chief of staff for the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is with me here at CNN Center. George Birnbaum is also an international political consultant. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
My pleasure.
Now, first of all, the UN statement. Can it be taken for granted that Israel will fully cooperate with demands for an open, credible investigation, which the U.S. supports?
I believe they will. I mean, I think Israel will be justified and vindicated in an independent investigation based on what happened.
Of course, who would make up the commission in your mind?
I don't know. That's up for the UN to decide.
So why did it ever happen?
Why did the incident ever happen?
I mean, no, so might this investigation ever happen if Israel's not happy with who's on it?
I don't think Israel has the ability to stop the investigation. I think Israel will have to cooperate. It'll look very bad for Israel if they... I mean, I think Israel knows that the facts are on their side, so they should be able to welcome this investigation.
But the question is, whether Israel believes the facts are on their side, something went very badly wrong. This could not have been in Israel's best interest.
Well, you know, what wasn't in Israel's best interest was this flotilla trying to run the blockade in the first place. Israel is in a very unique position, and Israeli intelligence did have information that one of these boats, the Mameris, the boat that the incident took place on, was purchased and sponsored by an internationally recognized terrorist organization.
Okay, fair enough, but the issue is, for Israel's point of view, was whether there were weapons on board or so. But Israel has got all the boats now in Ashdod,
right,
and it's been distributing some of the aid, so that has not proved to be...
But you have to check, and Israel had warned, even as much as a week ago, not to try and run the blockade.
So have the boats been checked? Have the ships been checked?
I don't know if the boats have been checked since they've been confiscated. I do not know that.
Okay, I mean, but one would assume one would
I would assume that they've been thoroughly checked.
Let me ask you a question that I have from Haaretz here somewhere that I plucked earlier in the day, that essentially when Benjamin Netanyahu was in Canada, cancelled his trip to Washington to meet with President Obama, flew back to Israel, held a meeting of the Inner Security Cabinet, and basically a source inside that meeting, according to Haaretz, the Israeli newspaper, said that on the agenda more was Israel's PR and image internationally rather than the rights or wrongs or what went on with the flotilla.
Well, I mean, Israel has to defend itself internationally. This act certainly took place in the world of live television and live video, and Israel has to defend its actions. I
mean, how does, in the light that Benjamin Netanyahu had been planning to go to the United States, and someone who's a former chief of staff of his, what do you think is going through his mind now?
Well, I think he's trying to deal with both the reality of the security threat as well as the public relations disaster that's taken place.
But clearly, according to Haaretz, he seemed to be dealing more with the PR.
Oh, I think they're dealing with both. There's no doubt they're dealing with both.
Okay, so where do you think his mind's at right now?
I think right now his mind is where it was at the beginning of this process, which is what do I have to do to defend Israeli citizens, to protect and make sure that weapons are not being infiltrated into the Gaza Strip. That's what he was...
Okay, but Ariel Sharon had one golden rule, which was never to annoy the White House, never get offside with the White House. Do you think that is the case this time?
I think Ariel Sharon had that rule, but Ariel Sharon also understood that there would be a divergence of that rule if Israel's security was at threat.
Okay, Israel's security may be a threat because there, in your view, because there are two more Palestinian activist-led boats heading towards Gaza. What's Israel going to do then?
I think they're going to have to stop them and inspect them. From the beginning, a week ago, the flotilla was asked to come to Ashdod, inspect the cargo. If it was indeed purely humanitarian, all the cargo would be transferred to Gaza.
Can Israel envisage another situation like that happening?
I think Israel has to make sure that there are no weapons being smuggled into Gaza.
In similar circumstances, does Israel envisage the same kind of commando unit raid, if the circumstances as far as Israel is concerned are the same?
I think Israel can't afford to let the blockade be run. So I think they'll do whatever they have to do to keep that from happening.
George Birnbaum, thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Well.